looks, he gives to Jordan. Jordan to the circle, puts the shot in the air. Good! The game's over, and the Bulls have won. Iguodala up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James!
For 70 years, the NBA was a distinctly American phenomenon. It was an exported product. America produced the talent, and the rest of the world just watched. The MVP awards, the scoring titles, the number one draft picks. These weren't just accolades, they were American birthrights. But if you look at the landscape of the NBA today, a silent revolution has taken place. The control has slipped. The throne has been seized. The last time an American-born player won the NBA MVP was James Harden back in 2018. But since then, it's been a straight-up monopoly. Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, Shea. And in this past season, the three finalists for the league's top award were Jokic from Serbia, SGA from Canada, and Victor Wembanyama from France. That now makes 8 consecutive years without an American MVP.
I like horses.
We aren't just talking about a couple of anomalous superstars. We are witnessing a fundamental shift in the world of basketball. The international player isn't just a role player or a niche 7-footer anymore. They are now the faces of the league, the apex predators. But how did this happen? How did the country that invented the sport, the country of the dream team, lose its absolute grip on the game it created? This is the story of how the USA lost control of the NBA. To understand the current crisis of American basketball dominance, we have to go back to its absolute peak in 1992, the year of the Dream Team. When the United States sent its professional superstars to the Barcelona Olympics, it wasn't just a basketball tournament, it was a global exhibition of superiority. They beat their opponents by an average of 44 points a game. Opposing players were literally asking for autographs during the game. But David Stern, the late visionary commissioner of the NBA, didn't just see this as an opportunity to get a few gold medals. He saw a marketing campaign. By broadcasting Jordan, Magic, and Buckley to the entire globe, the NBA planted seeds in the minds of kids in Greece, France, Serbia, Argentina, and all over the world. The message to the world was clear. This is the highest level of basketball.
Oh, that's game! Ow! Look at David!
But the unintended consequence of the Dream Team was that the rest of the world didn't just want to watch anymore. They also wanted to play this game. And more importantly, they started building infrastructures to catch up to the US. For the next 2 decades, international players slowly trickled into the league. You had pioneers like Drazen Petrovic, Arvydas Sabonis, and Hakeem Olajuwon. Then came the era of Dirk Nowitzki, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. Players who proved that foreigners could be the best players on championship teams. But even then, they were still viewed as exceptions. The American basketball machine was still the undisputed king, until the factory lines started to diverge. If you ask any basketball scout, executive, or coach why international players are taking over, they will almost unanimously point to one massive, glaring difference: development. In the United States, youth basketball has been entirely hijacked by the AAU circuit, the Amateur Athletic Union. While AAU has produced some phenomenal athletes, the system itself is structurally flawed. It is a system built on highlights, shoe company sponsorships, and individual exposure. Kids in the US play an absurd amount of games, sometimes 3 or 4 in a single weekend. Because of these schedules, practice time is severely limited. The objective isn't always to run a cohesive offense. It's to get the ball to the best player so he can go out there, put up 30 or 40 points, and get a mixtape posted on YouTube or Instagram. American players are coming into the NBA as the most physically gifted, incredibly athletic, isolation scorers the world has ever seen. but they are fundamentally raw. Now, look across the Atlantic. In Europe, the development model is tied to professional sports clubs. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Partizan Belgrade. If you're a talented 14-year-old in Europe, you aren't playing in a high school gym against a bunch of 14-year-olds while a guy films you on his iPhone. You're put into a professional academy. You practice 2 times a day, you play fewer games, and because of this, the emphasis is placed heavily on skill, basketball IQ, spacing, and team defense. Because of this, by the time you are 16 or 17, you are playing against 30-year-old grown men who are fighting for their paychecks. Luka Doncic won the EuroLeague MVP at age 19. When he came to the NBA, American media questioned if he was athletic enough. But Luka wasn't playing against teenagers. He had spent years dissecting professional defenses. He stepped onto an NBA floor and immediately made it look like a video game. The European system creates complete basketball players. The American system creates spectacular athletes. And in the modern space and pace NBA, high basketball IQ and fundamental skill are beating pure athleticism. This developmental divide has culminated in the complete monopolization of the MVP award. Let's break down the archetypes of this international takeover. First, you have Nikola Jokic, a second-round draft pick from Serbia who looks like he just finished a shift at a local brewery. Jokic fundamentally broke the American concept of a center. American big men were historically taught to post up, set screens, and block shots. But Jokic was taught how to be a point guard. His processing speed, his touch, his ability to read the floor, it's unmatched. And with that skill set, he's turned the Denver Nuggets into a beautiful, unselfish orchestra. And he's won 3 MVPs and a championship. Then you have Giannis Antetokounmpo.
He could be a freak on the court and on the shit.
Giannis represents the international athlete who developed with a chip on his shoulder. Growing up stateless in Greece, sharing shoes with his brothers, he entered the NBA as a raw project. But his work ethic, a trait often lauded in international prospects who view the NBA as a life-changing escape, turned him into a 2-time MVP and one of the most dominant two-way players since Shaquille O'Neal in the early 2000s. And then there's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Canada has quietly become a basketball superpower, heavily influenced of course by the presence of the Toronto Raptors. Shai represents the perfect hybrid. He has the shiftiness of an American guard, but the methodical, pace-controlling intelligence of an international player. He doesn't rush, he doesn't panic, he just executes, securing that MVP in 2025. Now, what do all these players have in common? They dictate the terms of engagement. They don't rely solely on their vertical leaps, they instead rely on angles, footwork, and a profound understanding of the game's geometry. If the MVP award is the present, the NBA draft is the future, and the future is moving abroad. Historically, the blueprint to being a number 1 overall pick was simple. Go to Duke, go to Kentucky, go to North Carolina, dominate March Madness, and shake the commissioner's hand. But look at the recent drafts. In 2023, the San Antonio Spurs drafted Victor Wembanyama from France, arguably the greatest prospect in the history of the sport. A 7'4" alien who handles the ball like a guard and protects the rim like a fortress. By 2026, Wemby already won the award for Defensive Player of the Year and was an MVP finalist. But it wasn't just a one-off phenomenon. The very next year, in 2024, the first 2 draft picks were Zachary Richer and Alex Sarr, both from France. We are now seeing drafts where the top tier of talent has 0 NCAA. NBA general managers have realized something critical. The floor for an international prospect is often higher than a one-and-done American college player. An 18-year-old who has played heavy minutes in the French League or the Spanish League has been tested in a fire that American college basketball simply cannot replicate. The myth of the soft Euro is dead. The international players coming over are physically prepared, tactically elite, and emotionally mature. This talent drain hasn't just affected the NBA, it has threatened the United States' dominance on the world stage. For years, the US could throw together a roster of B-tier all-stars and walk away with a gold medal at the World Cup or the Olympics. But in the 2023 FIBA World Cup, a US team featuring the likes of Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, and Tyrese Halliburton failed to even get a medal, losing to a German team that played flawless, cohesive team basketball. That loss sparked panic throughout the country. To win gold at the 2024 Paris Olympics, the United States had to assemble the Avengers. They had to call up LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. They had to rely on players in their late 30s to save American basketball from embarrassment. Yes, they did win the gold, but it was a terrifying warning sign. LeBron, Steph, and KD are the last remaining players of a golden generation of American basketball. They are anomalies. When they finally step away from the game, who's going to take the mantle? Anthony Edwards? Jason Tatum? Jalen Brunson? They're all spectacular players, but look across the court. In 2028 in Los Angeles, Team USA won't be facing scrappy underdogs. They will be facing a Canadian team led by SGA, a French team anchored by Victor Wembanyama and Alex Sarr, a Serbian team orchestrated by Nikola Jokic, a Slovenian team carried by Luka Doncic. The talent gap hasn't just closed, it has inverted. Team USA is no longer the undisputed titan of the world. They are just the first among equals, and even that title is slowly slipping away from them. So, is this a tragedy for American basketball? Some purists might think so. There's a lot of talk on sports radio about the state of American players. But if you take a step back and look at the sport as a whole, this is the realization of a beautiful dream. Basketball is one of the most globally connected sports in the world right now, only second to soccer. The fact that the best player in the world can come from a horse racing farm in Serbia, a suburb in Ontario, the streets of Athens, or the outskirts of Paris means that the talent pool to this amazing game has expanded to 8 billion people. The USA isn't losing control of the NBA because American players are getting worse. They're losing control because the rest of the world got better. The NBA is no longer an American league that just features international players. It's a global league that happens to be headquartered in the United States. The AAU system will eventually have to adapt. American development will have to pivot away from the mixtape culture and back to the fundamentals. Or they risk being left behind in their own backyard. The throne is now empty, the crown is up for grabs, and for the first time in the history of basketball, the whole world is fighting to reach for it. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. Also, let me know down in the comments who you think will be the next American player to win an MVP. I'll catch you guys in the next one.